is Chris, and I am a Chris kid. I was born into a different situation than the average Chris kid. I come from a two-parent, middle-class household. I have one brother, one sister, and there was no drug or alcohol addiction in the house. I'm highly intelligent and have started gifted classes in kindergarten and took honors and AP throughout high school. I got an 1810 on the SAT without even trying. Thank you. For all intents and purposes, my life seemed pretty rosy. But my dad had major anger issues and held us, me especially, under dictator-like rule. He was physically, mentally, and emotionally abusive. He criticized my every move and never showed any acknowledgement. He even made death threats along the way. My mom was no help in the situation and often made things worse. My brother, who has a real and disruptive behavior disorder, as you can imagine, was tough to grow up with. I was alone in my own home and provided the basics for survival, but no emotional support or security from my family. I tried to compensate with materialistic things, but what I really wanted was a strong family support. I went to boarding school in McCallie my sophomore year in high school and knew I had a really good opportunity for my education. But while I wasn't homesick, the lack of family support really got to me over time, and my schoolwork suffered as a result. I began to get into a deep depression. I started suffering from insomnia and ultimately flunked out of school. I tried to take it as a learning experience and bounce back strong as I went home, but my family life slowly but surely eased me back into a depression. I was failing five classes my senior year and was put on complete lockdown in my room except for dinner and computer privileges for school only. The depression continued, and luckily I managed to graduate with my faith of God and also fear of him. But as soon as I graduated, I was kicked out of that house that summer and had nowhere to go. I couch surfed and wound up in some really shady places. I was scared and uncertain of my fate, but thanks to God, I had a strong relationship with my family counselor, and thankfully she knew about Chris Kids and was able to help me get here. For all of us, Chris Kids provides support and stability. Our stories vary, but the common thread is that we didn't have a safe, loving home that helped us flourish. Because of drugs or abuse or violence or a myriad of other things, we were not offered the support and encouragement we needed by the adults in our lives. We didn't learn core values or how to become productive members of society. These are all things that do not come naturally. They have to be taught. To grow into strong and secure adults, children need guidance and love. Stability and safety. None of us got these things. I heard somewhere that simply having children does not make us parents, and this is so true. Chance was born into a mother addicted to drugs, and Vitaly was born to a single parent fighting her own trauma. I was born to a man who had it out for me from the beginning. No love, no support. Despite being a good kid, I was left to fend for myself on the streets. All of us can now understand that we were not responsible for the choices the adults in our lives made. We can take responsibility for our own choices, including the mistakes we made along the way. We understand the importance of personal accountability, but this did not come out of thin air or suddenly appear to us. Certainly not in the filthy boarding house where I lived, or in the eyes of the hateful people who tormented Chance, or in the orphanage where Vitaly lived. These lessons come from other people, sometimes parents and family, sometimes teachers or even neighbors. What happens when there are no teachers, family, or neighbors? What happens when there are only pimps, thieves, drugs, overworked caseworkers, and a system that sometimes lets kids fall through the cracks? For us, we were fortunate enough to get into Chris Kids and be introduced to people like Miss Kathy and Miss Shamika. Because of that, we have support and stability. We don't worry about where we're going to lay our heads at night anymore. We don't worry about someone taking advantage of us or hurting us. We are all learning to believe in ourselves. We are all learning how to fly. Vitaly is finishing high school. Chance and I are attending college. Go Georgia State. We all have jobs, and we're aiming for a brighter future, and we know we have support behind us. Chris Kids gives us the foundation of support of good people who actually make it their mission to help us and others succeed. And they provide necessary resources and navigate a fine line between enabling and support. We have a lot of independence, and we have a lot of limits and structure. I think we can all agree that we need those two. We are asked to make our own choices and given help to think our choices through. We take responsibility for our choices, but we have the comfort of knowing that we can make mistakes here and it's not the end of the world. For example, if I have a job interview and I bomb it, I know that I can still go home and lay my head down and not have to worry about, being kicked out. I have another chance. I can regroup and learn from my mistakes and try again. This is one of the most, what's the word? Reassuring, I can't even express it to you properly. It means the world. We all have a robust network of support, and that includes all of you, so thank you. Without Chris Kids, we can't tell you where we might be today, dead, in jail, homeless, dependent on the state, most likely. Chris Kids provide opportunities, life lessons, and support. Because of Chris Kids, because of you, we have a bright, successful future ahead of us. Thank you again.